One of the races that was very much being watched by much of the country was the GOP primary that occurred last night for the governorship. So Kari Lake, who was endorsed by Donald Trump, was running against Karen Taylor Robeson, who was endorsed by Mike Pence. And so it's interesting because Kari Lake is kind of a nut, but then also they called it a little bit of a proxy war where Donald Trump is running against Mike Pence a little bit. And we've seen a couple races where this has been the case. But this was a very high profile one where Donald Trump's weight is getting put behind the more MAGA, election denier, conspiracy theorist, and Pence is behind the more traditional Republican, who obviously I have humongous disagreements with on most policy issues, but at least she's less of a conspiracy theorist, but also won't clearly say that she would have certified the election, so it's not great. But anyways, the story I want to talk about today is this pattern we're now seeing of lower level than president race candidates following in Trump's lead of claiming false things about the election that they're running in. And the typical one now is in the build up to a race, you say, we're already seeing that there might be some fraud, this might get stolen from me, but I think we might come out in such numbers that they won't be able to steal it from us. Well, that's the perfect situation, because then you can't lose. If you lose, yep, I warned you, it was getting stolen. If you don't lose, we just overcame the attempt from the other side to steal it. What's also confusing about that theory, though, is Donald Trump claimed the Democrats stole the election from him, right? And all these people and all this was happening. So then Kari Lake is coming along, as we're about to show you here. Oh no, we're going to show you her claiming victory, but she has claimed in the buildup that we're already seeing signs of the election being stolen. And so she, I guess, is saying that the Democrats are stealing for her opponent, who is also Republican. So there's stealing going on with or maybe it's Republicans are stealing from each other. I don't know. Confusing stuff going on in conspiracy brain. But the other thing that they're following in Trump's lead and doing is claiming victory before it's been called for them. And that's really damaging too, because one of the things that causes our elections to be so smooth and steady is the candidates will wait until there's enough results in to get a good solid projection of who won, and then the one that lost will concede to the other, and it's a very smooth process, and they won't claim fraud and all that type of stuff. Well, now we have a situation where you're going to claim fraud if you lost. If you're up at any point during the night, you're going to come out and claim that you won and just cause all of this mayhem. And so she's doing exactly what Trump did. And it shows why we're so angry and so, if you want to call it hyperbolic, but not, during Trump's election lies, because it wasn't just Trump. It was undermining our democracy in a way that would have ramifications for years to come. And this is an example of it. So here's Kari Lake coming out. Election not called for her yet. Still, when I'm recording this, it still hasn't been called for her. It's just super close, but claiming that she has won.
Being this messed up. Can you believe it? I got the numbers here. We have barely any votes counted. We won today 7 out of 10 election day votes. Do you know that? That is massive. And those votes are not counted yet. There is no path to victory for my opponent, and we won this race. Period. But there's a ton of problems with the system. You know what's going on in Pinal County? They knew we were going to have record turnout because we aren't going to take it anymore. And 1 hour into voting, they ran out of ballots. What the hell's going on? What in the hell is going on? This is why we're in this race. This is why we have this movement right here. This is why everywhere we go, we drew a crowd. This is why we have the biggest movement in Arizona politics.
Okay, so claiming that something, fishy is going on and declaring victory before she's actually won. Now, I think there's a pretty good chance she will win. She's up right now, and it's super, super close, but I think she could probably keep her lead and end up winning and become the Republican nominee for governor in Arizona. So likely that'll be the outcome, unlike Trump. But it just shows you this is now the playbook. Donald Trump showed you what you could do in an election, which is pretty much set up a situation where in the mind of your followers and you, there's no way you can legitimately lose. And then you follow these steps and you do that. And then if you win, great. You're so amazing that you overcame the attempts for it to get stolen. If you lose, you now have this amazing grift to fundraise and say you're challenging the election and say you actually never lost and blah, 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 and keep your followers engaged. So it really is perfect if you care not at all about the legitimacy and the functionality of our democratic process, which is obviously what a lot of these Trumpsters believe. So really concerning and disturbing stuff going on. And I think we're going to start seeing this with most hardcore MAGA Republicans in their elections.